London, 2nd September 1666. A warm night, a dry city, a stiff wind, and one small bakery fire on Pudding Lane that turns into 4 days of absolute chaos. The myth goes like this: the Great Fire destroyed London, but it also saved it. It cleansed out the plague, fixed the city and rebuilt everything better, which is a lovely story. Tragic, then uplifting. Like a disaster movie that ends with urban planning. But did the Great Fire actually end the plague and save London? Or is that just the most optimistic spin possible on a 17th century catastrophe? Let's open the file. Here's the trailer version. London burns, people learn lessons, city is reborn in brick and stone, plague disappears, everyone cheers, roll credits. Reality is less reborn and more running while holding your entire life in a sack. London in 1666 is packed. Mostly timber buildings, narrow streets, overhanging upper floors that practically shake hands across the road. And a city that's been through plague the year before. So London is basically a tinderbox with an anxiety problem. Early hours, Sunday the 2nd of September, a fire breaks out in a bakery on Pudding Lane. Traditionally, the baker is named Thomas Fariner. Important point, this isn't one evil person set London on fire. This is, London was built like a wooden matchbox, and a spark found the perfect conditions. Wind picked up, the flames spread house to house, street to street, and here's where London's biggest enemy appears. Not the flames, not even the wind, indecision. At this time, the best firefighting technique is demolishing buildings to create fire breaks. But to demolish houses, someone has to authorise it. And once you start tearing down properties, you're basically announcing, "Hello, we're destroying your home to save the city. Please remain calm." Spoiler, people do not remain calm. The Lord Mayor hesitates, time is lost, and the fire stops being a local problem and becomes an unstoppable beast. Over the next few days, the fire tears through central London. It destroys thousands of homes, major churches, and famously old St Paul's Cathedral. This isn't just some buildings caught fire, this is a city burning so hot that people report the air itself feeling like it's on fire. Crowds flee towards the river, or out into open fields dragging furniture, bedding, food, anything. You get traffic jams of carts, people abandoning possessions mid-street, entire neighbourhoods turning into smoke. There's also something else, rumours. London is at war with the Dutch and the French at different points in this era, and people start accusing foreigners of starting the fire. That leads to violence, scapegoating, and panic. So while the city burns, so does trust. Now for the myth that refuses to die. The Great Fire ended the plague. The Great Plague of London is mainly 1665, the year before the fire. By 1666, the plague outbreak is already declining. So the fire does not arrive mid-plague like a heroic flamethrower of public health. Could the fire have reduced rats, fleas, and filthy housing in the burned area? Possibly yes. But here's the catch. The fire did not burn all of London. Large areas survived. Many poor districts outside the walls weren't the main burn zones. And plague doesn't disappear because you burn a few streets. What likely matters more is a mix of factors over time. Changes in quarantine and public health responses, natural disease cycles, shifts in rat populations and flea vectors, and broader changes in living conditions. So the most accurate take is, the fire may have helped reduce plague risk in central areas, but it didn't end the plague, like a neat cause and effect switch. Verdict on that claim? Not fully true. At best, partial and indirect. Did the fire save London? This part gets tricky, because the fire did change things, but saved is doing a lot of heavy lifting. After the fire, there are big efforts to rebuild with improvements. More brick and stone construction, regulations to reduce fire risk, some street widening, limits on overhanging wooden upper floors. There are also ambitious plans proposed, including grand redesigns by figures like Christopher Wren. Here's the twist. London does not get rebuilt as a perfectly redesigned modern city overnight. Most of the street patterns stay surprisingly familiar, partly because people still owned land in specific places. Property disputes were everywhere, and rebuilding had to happen fast enough for the city to function again so London improves. And rebuilding had to happen fast enough for the city to function again. So London improves, yes, but it's not a total redesign. More like, same city, less flammable, which is a solid improvement to be fair. Also, rebuilding takes years, in some respects, decades. So if you picture a London rising from the ashes in a neat montage, that's fiction. Real rebuilding is paperwork, arguments, and bills. A lot of bills. The death toll myth. Another misconception. Only a few people died. Official records list surprisingly low numbers, but we need to be cautious. In a disaster like this, the poor may not be recorded carefully. Bodies may not be identifiable, and not everyone who dies is documented. So we can say with confidence the official death toll is low, but the true number is uncertain. What is certain is the scale of displacement. Tens of thousands lose homes. Whole neighbourhoods vanish, so even without a massive recorded death toll, this is still a human catastrophe. What's fact, what's fiction? So did the Great Fire end the plague and save London? Here's the Foundry verdict. Fiction. If it means the fire single-handedly wiped out plague and rebuilt London into a better city immediately. Partial fact if it means the fire contributed to long-term changes that reduced fire risk and reshaped parts of the city's infrastructure and regulation. My verdict? The Great Fire didn't save London. London saved itself, painfully over years, through rebuilding, regulation, and sheer stubborn survival. And the plague story is a tempting narrative, but history rarely gives us a clean trade-off like lose city, gain health. Sometimes you just lose the city. What do you think? Was the Great Fire ultimately a turning point that improved London, or do we romanticise it because we like disasters with a silver lining? Drop your verdict in the comments. And next time on England Uncovered, we're moving from smoke and ash to fences and paperwork. The enclosure myth. Was it stolen land or a deeper economic shift that changed rural England forever? That's part 7. See you next time.